Hello, this is Kid Bandit, the protagonist of pro wrestling, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, that guy, James J., alongside the leader of Squad, Gr8ful Yardy.
I usually have something nice to say, or something dumb, but I'm speechless. So I just say, the trees that reach the highest heavens go through the depths of hell. Take that however you want.
We're getting philosophical Kaliko tonight. The American Scooter Dust. And our very special guest from the Gr8ful Yardy podcast, the Jamaican sensation, Drew.
What's going on, people? Thanks for having me once again.
It's great to have you back on, Drew. And it was a great week for us as I interviewed Kid Bandit last week. Incredible chat with an incredible person. You definitely want to go back into the archives and check that one out if you haven't already. This upcoming Wednesday, we got the Queen of Charisma herself, Big Juicy. I can't believe it took us this long to actually get Big Juicy on the show. And it's definitely a memorable one. No, Scooter?
Well, it was definitely big, it was definitely juicy, therefore, it was really big juicy.
And don't take our word for it. Here's a little clip of that interview right now.
I suppose we should maybe start with the obvious. Could you please explain juicy fuel to us?
Oh, that's a good one. I haven't gotten asked that question yet. Juicy Fuel, I was given the name Big Juicy, and kind of think of Juicy Fuel kind of like Popeye with his spinach, right?
Okay.
He's getting beat down. He pops open that can of spinach, and oh my God, he can kick anyone's ass. So Juicy Fuel is what Popeye uses his spinach for. Juicy Fuel is for me, if that makes sense.
It makes
Now,
perfect sense.
yes, it absolutely does.
Alright. And we got the Marcio James the week after that. I believe that's the 23rd. And you should definitely check that as well. Of course, all interview information is on our Twitter at Wrestling with E. And it was a great day for wrestling. And a great day if your name was Braun Breaker, because on Monday he made his WWE Raw debut. Of course, it was just to maybe promote what was going to happen on Tuesday. But it's still a significant thing when an NXT superstar makes it to the main roster. No, Kaliko?
Well, considering what happened the next night, sounds like it might be a lot sooner. You might see him a lot more often than what you're accustomed to, because it's very rare you see people on there as the champion unless you're planning on them being on the main roster. Prime example, Kevin Owens was on as NXT champ, and next thing you know, main roster. So it's all within the plan, as they say.
What about you, Scooter? How do you feel about that?
Well, considering the rumor is they want to bring him up to Raw as soon as possible, leaves the without a doubt that we'll see Braun much sooner rather than later.
What say you, Drew?
I agree with what all you guys are saying. I think him coming up to the main roster, I think he's one of Vince's projects from this new version of NXT. So yeah, bringing him up, it could be a little too soon, but who knows?
I mean, he's only been really wrestling for, like, legitimately for what, 6 months at that? Maybe this is maybe too premature to bring up a guy that green, Kaliko.
Well, in essence, I could make the argument A, he's probably been in developmental longer than that, and then I'm thinking B, he's a Steiner, so it's not like he's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He got an inside track on it, a la Charlotte Flair. You know what I mean? He's been around the business. He knows people in the business. Fuck, his dad's Rick Steiner, crying out loud. So, I mean, that lends more credibility and more benefit of the doubt than someone like, I don't know, Grayson Waller or, you know what I mean?
Who?
Waller.
Waller. You knew who the hell I meant. Waller, Waller, that guy.
I
Like
still
a
have
man.
He
no
gets a
idea who
benefit.
you're talking about.
But
The
he
guy
gets a
who-
pass.
The guy who AJ Styles fought on NXT.
But I mean, if you
Yeah.
wrestle AJ Styles on NXT in the woods, does anybody see?
Yes, people see it.
Well,
Wrong time to ask that question.
well, that begs the question: did Dolph Ziggler winning the NXT title matter or mean anything, Drew?
No, I just think it's a way to heat up Dolph Ziggler because he's been hella cold for the last, I'd say, like 3 years. Like he has great matches. He's a very good worker. But I just think character wise, they have nothing for him on the main roster. So they just throw him back into NXT and put the title on him. Maybe try to give the NXT title some kind of like shine instead of having it on a guy that's only been in the business for 6 months. So it is what it is.
But does it kind of devalue the title to a degree, considering Dolph Ziggler's been wrestling longer than NXT was an actual thing? Whoever wants to answer that.
Depends, because you want to know why? Because usually when you get WWE main roster people fucking with the NXT people, you usually think it's a automatic win for the NXT person. But for the first time, they actually followed the script, and somebody of Dolph Ziggler's caliber should be winning a match like that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because it wouldn't make sense to put him in a match just to lose if you're trying to make it seem like being a main roster guy is a big deal.
Well, I mean, when Balor went back down to NXT, and he maybe only lost like 3 matches the whole long way.
That's true, but it also showed that being the main roster person and going back, you could, you know what I'm saying? It shows the growth, right? Because if to
Yeah.
go back there and just to lose a bunch, what's the point of being on the main roster? You might as well just stayed in NXT, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Finn went back to be part of NXT, not just not for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, because he felt more comfortable in NXT anyway. And plus, Dolph's a former heavyweight champion. Why wouldn't he be? You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that made more sense if he had a won. Because Ciampa, what is the reign going to do for him? Because he's going on the main roster.
He's on the
Breaker
main
at this
roster.
point is going, huh?
He's on the main roster.
That's my point. He's there. Breaker's on the way.
And end of last night, Pete Dunne is on the roster, on the main roster. But
Oh,
Yep.
fantastic.
but oh god, we have another name fiasco here. Yeah, you teamed up with Sheamus and Rich Holland,
Oh no.
and they've given him the nickname, or I don't think they've actually just renamed him this because why would you? But Pete Dunne is now known somewhat as Butch.
Okay. That was about
He does.
as I thought it was gonna be.
He doesn't look like a butch.
He, he
Let's say
looks
you
like a
do.
bitch.
What's the
Did
name?
he look like a bitch? No,
Yeah.
Does Pete Dunne look like a butch, Drew?
Um, I wanted to jump back into the whole NXT thing. The way that you guys are explaining it, it's like if you look at Major League Baseball being called up from AAA, it's like you guys are saying these guys going back down. It's like this in a sense to me how it sounds. It's like it's discrediting NXT more than it's even helping the person that's on the main roster. It's like NXT is this developmental or this like minor league system where guys can come back and like pretty much reinvigorate their whole career for being on the main roster, even though they look like crap on the main roster for many years. Like look at Finn Balor injuries and poor booking, and same with Dolph Ziggler, and they just go back to the minor leagues and they look like they're major stars again. I just don't see the point of guys that are on the main roster that have been on the main roster consistently for many years and have done stuff like Dolph Ziggler going back to the developmental doesn't really help the developmental. It just helps the individual. And with this whole name change or name changing or calling people different names on the main roster, I hope if Braun Breaker is going to the main roster, just change his name to like
he chose it though. He chose
oh
one. Yep.
oh god. Like of all names to choose, it is like the worst thing you could ever do, but it is what it is at the end of the day.
I mean, he could be named Butch.
Uh, but going back to that, NXT now is more akin to an independent promotion, and it's an indie at this point, where the occasional big name star shows up and and works a program for a set amount of time. It also evokes the style of the old NWA when the what do they call it? The board of champions would get lent out to NWA territories. It, that's what it is for the most part,
It's
and
essentially Smoky Mountain Wrestling to WWF.
that's actually I think a better maybe even the USWA.
I mean, at one point, Undertaker did a shot for Smoky Mountain against the Christmas creature, or whatever his name was at that time, but essentially Kane, I remember. So,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's just about you know giving NXT that little bit more of credibility. The potential of a slight jump in viewership, and getting an interesting story out of it, because now you have this main roster guy who, as of as of now, on the current roster, I believe is the longest reigning tenured superstar as of now. Uh,
Somebody say
being
something.
being over 17 years, and now he's got that prize that all the NXT roster is wanting. It's almost even akin to you know a really tall guy picking on a midget and just being like, "Hey, try and get it, try and get it, try and get it." And no matter what, they can't get it. But eventually, one of those midgets will realize to headbutt him in the nuts and get it.
Well, to your point, honestly, as fans, I could equate Ziggler to X-Pac. I mean, good worker, but why is he still there? But having him down in NXT, I don't want to say it gives credibility to the belt because I really don't think it does. But to actually have matches with these young green guys and kind of take them under his wing and kind of mentor them into having, you know, good to decent matches, I can understand where that's something beneficial to that roster right now to have him on the top to kind of teach them. Let's say you, Drew.
I agree with that. I just I just look at it like maybe with this whole new rollout of NXT and the color changes and everything like that, it's personally I really don't tune into NXT anymore. I just feel like it's kind of like the same people doing the same thing over and over again, thinking there's going to be a different result. And maybe putting the title on Ziggler will heat up Ziggler, number one, for a main roster push. And also, it kind of introduces some of the guys that are down in NXT to the people that may not watch NXT on a regular basis, like myself, that, oh, I don't know that guy, but, oh, I know Dolph Ziggler's down there, so maybe I'll check it out. But at the end of the day, I just think, to be honest with you, maybe I'm just not a fan of Dolph Ziggler anymore. I just think he's been there too long. I think he needs a change of scenery. I think, and maybe NXT is his change of scenery, and maybe this will heat him up to do a program with somebody that of relevance on the main roster going forward. After he drops the NXT title.
But I see Drew's point, but I also look at it like this. Like we just said, he's the longest tenured dude. So, who would be more WWE style as far as teaching him other than him and Kofi Kingston and The Miz? Like, right?
Yep.
Two, him being the champ, that means I think it's more important for whoever beats Dolph for the championship will be more made than Dolph, because that's the catch, right?
Yep.
Because beating Braun for the belt, it's like, okay, he was green. He gets the benefit of the doubt. Well, he just got there, right?
Right.
So the next person that beats Dolph will be a very credible person, because even though we think Dolph is not the guy he was in 0809, but his accolades is what's made him, right? So that's the part that I'm thinking of. And then with NXT, it was always supposed to be developmental. And for some odd reason, by them signing bigger people and bigger names and letting them do their style, I can understand why NXT kind of got away from the developmental part. Because we'll sit there and complain about, oh, gee, they're not making new stars, but yet they're signing all these indie dudes, and we're expecting the indie dudes to be the indie dudes on WWE, when in actuality they're going to be nothing, nowhere near what they were in the indie scene. It's like we're expecting them to be Tim Tebow from Florida when they get to the NFL, and it's a whole different game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that part, to me, I can see why. And that's Vince's way, for better or for worse, of him taking the people, molding them in the image that he wants them to be, which is more entertainers than wrestlers. Because we could say Daniel Bryan is a hell of a wrestler, Cesaro's a hell of a wrestler, but it's entertainer. Prime example. Better wrestler, Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, between Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, and The Rock, you would say Daniel Bryan and Cesaro, hands down, right?
Yeah.
So,
But the better entertainer was,
The Rock.
and that's what they're going for.
Well, you definitely have a point there. Um, we are going on to another subject. WWE may no longer be a part of 2K games. Apparently, WWE 2K22 maybe didn't do as well as they had expected it to, and they're maybe thinking about going to greener pastures. Me and Scooter maybe had a conversation about this early in the week, and maybe a possibility of them going to EA. You was against that, right, Scooter?
Yes, and
EA
but
Games, for anybody that doesn't know.
yes, yes, but the reviews on the game are all positive. They are. It is finally it is a good game. It is reminiscent of the early PS2 SmackDown games and everything. It's fun. Uh, if EA publishes gets their hands on the license, uh, do we all not? Uh, do we all remember WCW Mayhem
That was on not Nintendo 64.
and PlayStation?
Oh, really?
Yep,
I
it
think
was
I have
on
the
both.
I think I have the Nintendo 64 version.
And that was not. It was not a good game. Of course, the industry's increased by leaps and bounds. If EA gets their hands on the license, we're going to end up with microtransactions throughout, to hell and back. Yes, there are microtransactions uh, in 2K22. They aren't required for anything. You don't need to. They're optional, uh, and it's for primarily a mode that doesn't yet have an online component. So the with if EA gets the license, I would see it only being a money thing, and the quality of games would be terrible. Quite honestly, if they're gonna sell the license to any other company, I say give it to Epic
What?
and let them make something out of the Unreal Engine.
But doesn't I think Epic only makes Fortnite at this point. I don't remember them making a game for the last like.
No, they make other games. They purchased they bought games outright to publish, like Fall Guys and Rocket League. They're but as a development company, they have developed the Unreal Engine, which is used in everything from video games to car displays in the
Movies.
latest modern cars, movies. It's even being used in the classroom. Like that's how like that's the possibility of that, especially since the Unreal Engine version 5 has been released, and there was a demo demonstrating it for next generation hardware, revolving around The Matrix back when The Matrix Resurrections was first released on HBO Max. And it broke down the entire engine from start to finish. It was clean, it was crisp, and if they could turn, you know, something like that, if they could get something, basically, if anyone else could do it justice, it would be epic and the Unreal Engine.
Kaliko, anything you want to add to that?
I mean, just take it back to the Coleco vision. No, I'm just joking, just joking, just joking. Uh, but it's kind of weird because EA, when you think of EA, you only think of Madden, and you only think of Madden because of Madden. So if this was EA 0405, I can see your point in going to EA, but 2K, when you think 2K, it's just like, man, it's universally known at this point because NBA 2K. Um, I think the year off kind of hurt it because of the fact it was just a bad reputation. I didn't think people were just going to, because especially how bad 2020 was, they took the year off and came back. You expect people to come back, towing in the waters. It's kind of like when the Note 8 blew up and then the Note 9 came back and everybody was like, let me double check. You know what I mean? And I think that's the phase. So I think personally, I would say hold out, wait till people, actually play the game, review the game, and go from there. Because to me, when it comes to to naming, 2K is hands down top three when you think of gaming in a sense of like yearly releases and not having to deal with like seasonals. Because like it's 2K and Madden and maybe FIFA or those weirdos that play Tiger Woods. I don't know, but
Do you have an opinion on this, Drew?
I'll keep it quick. I totally agree with what Scooter's saying. If EA gets their hands on this license, they're gonna, excuse my French, shit all over this game. Because we've seen over the years, if you're an NHL person, you're if you like NHL, you're stuck to playing EA. You like Madden, you're stuck to playing EA. You like even soccer, you're stuck to playing EA. And all those three games I mentioned have huge microtransactions. So as a fan, you can't just pick up the game and just play the game and enjoy the game for what it is. If you want certain things, you got to pay for it. And that's what, honestly, to me, that's what's killing and hurting EA's bottom line. And that's why a lot of people are kind of turning away from those games. I also agree with what Scooter was saying too with this whole, if Epic got our hands on it, maybe the year off with 2K helped it in a sense because they were able to work out the kinks and see what their issues were because 2020 was a horrible game. And to me, if they're going to sell the license to somebody that's actually going to take care of the game and actually make a game for fans to enjoy. And marketing wise, stick if you're not gonna sell a license, stick to 2K because everybody knows 2K. And the people that know 2K honestly play 2K games like NBA 2K, and it's as a marketing thing. Just keep it to 2K. But if you're going to sell it to somebody that's actually going to give two shits about the game and not just try to make transactions so they can make a bag of money off of people.
Well, I could equate this scenario into what kind of happened with Assassin's Creed back in, I don't remember what year it was, but Unit when Unity came out, it was a horrible game. There was a lot of bugs. It was not ready to come out. And then the very next year, they came out with Syndicate, which was an awesome game that was really a quality game. But nobody bought it because they still had a bad taste in their mouth because of Unity. But out of it, we got Origins. I can't remember the other one that came after that one, Origins. But we got more of an open world, a different type of game than what we were used to playing in the Assassin's Creed universe. But what I'm getting to at this is that if it doesn't stay, if it does stay with 2K or it does go somewhere else, something needs to change in the game to get people excited about it again. Because I I haven't played a WWE game since 18. I mean, I had 19. I didn't play it at all. So I kind of feel like they need to kind of invigorate the casual player that wants to relive the Attitude Era again, or have WrestleMania do every match that was ever take place at WrestleMania, or something like that, like we had in the THQ days. But that's just my opinion. All right, let's get on to another subject. Kevin Owens challenged Stone Cold. I don't want to say to a match, but it was kind of like a match on Monday Night Raw. Austin responded he will be at Mania at least night one. Scooter, is this a match? Is this a KO show? Is this just a beating on KO?
I believe as of right now, this is a match. Um, Austin responded on SmackDown saying he was lacing up his boots, to open up one more can of whoop ass. He's been working on his cardio. Um, uh, it could, it might be. He has been really, Austin has really been trying to get in shape. They want it to be more than just, stun and done. Um, it I think I think they're kind of winging it at this point, seeing how Austin is for before WrestleMania, if he'll be cleared to actually have a match. We know it's going to be at least a fight sequence. Um, but there's the
Not pre-recorded.
possibility. No, not pre-recorded. But there's the possibility of the KO show segment happening on night one, and then the actual match happening on night two. Uh, I could see them bringing out, JBL and Shawn Michaels and Booker T, all the guys Owens mentioned, and them doing something similar to, Vince and Brett at 27,
26.
where 26, my bad, where Austin doesn't do a ton of the beating, and still, and still comes out looking like he did something.
What's your opinion on it, Drew? And should Austin actually have another match?
No, no. I'm just like, I know you're trying to sell WrestleMania, and we talked about this earlier about the whole them not building new stars. You're going to bring back a guy that his last match was 19 years ago. If it's a match, I don't really care. If it's a KO segment, it's something to kill time on WrestleMania night one. If it's building to a match on night two, I don't care. Like, Austin should just come out and do what he normally does. Stun and I like what Scooter called it, stun and done. That's cool. Maybe that's a T-shirt coming up on Pro Wrestling Tees. But that's what he should do. It should be a KO show. Owens ran his mouth. Those guys come out, like you said, the Texas boys come out because they're all from Texas. And then they beat up on Owens, they stun him, he takes all their finishers and he leaves them laying and pops some beers and gets on the turnbuckle and flips the bird and Bob's your uncle. That's what it should be. I don't need to see a match with Stone Cold and Kevin Owens, even though they have like a long history, because I guess they kept showing some picture of Owens and Austin when Owens was younger and this, that, and the third. It's like if Austin was cleared, I would say end of 2021, and we knew that he was physically able to do a match, and maybe he came into the Rumble or something like that builds towards a match, then I'd be excited for it. Where it's just a guy calling out a guy, and then another guy jumps on social media to say, "Yeah, I'm coming to," and says his catchphrases. It's kind of ridiculous to me, and I don't want to see it. And I'll probably go out and roll myself a spliff when that's happening during WrestleMania night one or night two.
Damn. Kaliko, you want to finish this off?
Damn, so many conflicting views on Austin. Damn, man, y'all were like, what the hell, bro? But as a person who was there at 32 when Austin came out, it means something in Texas, and I think that's what it is. And I get everything that Drew was saying, but this is a reason to get the casuals out, right? Because think about it. Taker's going into the Hall of Fame, so he's going to be at Mania when they induct the class. Austin's going to be out there, so he's going to be, and it's just I get what you're saying, Drew, but it's more to get the casual eyes there. And by getting the casual eyes, you can try to see if you can hook them into afterwards, right? Because this is probably the biggest audience. And let's just face it, when it comes to wrestling, WrestleMania is probably the biggest audience that wrestling's ever going to have, right?
Yes.
So they're just doing that to try to get those people to, hook them in and go from there. Because watch, next year is going to be Rock in LA.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's the only way to get them to hook in. And it's kind of a tie into the past, into the present, so you can see the future, right?
No, I absolutely see your point. But
I
Scooter?
I I think I honestly think that uh, they saw the response to Punk and MJF, and Owens and Austin is their attempt to catapult on something similar, having somebody who's been gone for a really long time go up against one of the current you know, high profile stars of today.
That's interesting take. That being said, it's rumored that Seth Rollins is supposed to wrestle Cody at WrestleMania if a deal is made in time. Do you see that being a big match? And if Cody isn't there in time, what do you see Seth Rollins going through?
It would be a big match because Cody Rhodes is like one of the founding fathers of AEW, and him leaving that promotion to go back to the WWE, and plus the amount of work he's done since leaving the WWE to put himself over as one of the top stars in professional wrestling, that would be WrestleMania. Um, do I see it happening? Or you ask, what if that doesn't happen? What would Seth Rollins be doing?
Right.
Probably being in the corner of Becky Lynch in the main event of night one, or of night one, with her match with Bianca Belair, because I don't see him in a program with anybody if that program doesn't come to WrestleMania. Who else is there for him to face?
I mean, nobody really of significance, honestly. Significance to him, anyway. Same question, Scooter.
I think we lost James.
Oh, I'm here. Hello.
Yep.
Oh no! I'm just
Can you
I'm
hear
just
me?
fucking off.
Hello.
Your hand. Your hand.
So Scooter. If not Cody, who does Seth Rollins wrestle?
Uh, I can, and I was reading about this. Cody will not be there in time. For Mania. I can say that with 85% certainty. Um, as for if Seth uh, doesn't have a match, you know what? Put him in with put him with Owens. Uh,
Well,
and
Owens
then
has Austin.
but you put Rollins in Owens' corner.
I
Or
like Drew's idea better. Put him in Ducky's corner.
and then you're gonna have fans complaining about Seth being emasculated.
Well, he doesn't complain about it.
Well, unfortunately, his opinion doesn't mean dick here. um, in all honesty, it doesn't. Um, well, I mean, Rollins.
You can't think of
I mean,
anybody.
now if you're gonna do it, maybe you can work up a quick program with Kofi.
What? I mean, Kofi's not a bad competitor, but why Kofi?
Because he's one of the few people that could that doesn't have a match at Mania that could get a decent match out of Seth Rollins. Because if we're not tuning in for the story, we're tuning in for the match.
It seems like Finn Balor is going the way of Damian Priest, right?
Yes, and I called that a long time ago. Demon versus Priest. It writes itself.
It sure does. Well,
uh,
I'm
Yeah,
throwing this out to
I mean,
everyone, of course. Goldberg squash match.
no.
fuck no.
You know what? Give Seth Rollins say it's a mystery opponent, and have Cena on standby.
I think Cena already said he wasn't going to be there. But, I mean, that would have been a great match.
I feel like Seth is cursed in Texas because he didn't make the last Texas show either
That's right, too.
Ooh,
due to injury.
Maybe they'll get Sting.
Well, what about you, Kaliko? Do you think there's anybody worth Seth Rollins' time at Mania?
I mean, I just pray to God they don't put him in the Andre the Memorial Battle Royal,
Which is a good possibility.
which is the most seamless possibility right now because he probably will win the bitch.
Right.
Unless they pull Okada out their ass, I don't see everybody. I don't see a lot of. I don't see anyone on that roster as far as the eye could see that Seth. That's the problem because Seth has wrestled everybody.
Well,
Unless HBK just pops out of his ass. You know what I mean? Like,
right. I
it
mean,
has to be somebody he never seen before.
he's down at NXT. That's a possibility.
I mean, Seth Taker? I don't
No,
know.
Seth Ciampa.
Ooh, Seth Ciampa.
that could work. I like that.
Seth Gargano could work.
Yeah, except Gargano's not coming back.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just.
Holding out hope.
Dreamers can dream, right?
But Gargano did create his own graphic based on the Veer Mahan thing. It says Quill Gargano coming to Raw soon.
Now, I don't know. Subject. John Cena is producing a new show for Peacock for WWE about evil.
Not that evil.
I didn't even know that it was. I didn't even know he knew who New Japan Pro Wrestler Evil was. Let alone make a documentary about the bastard.
James. Are you sure you don't have kids, James? Because that was a terrible dad joke.
Not that I know of. Well, it should be interesting to look into the life of Evil, the House of Pancakes. I mean Torcho. And WWE's supposed to produce a production with New Japan, so it's all good there, right?
It's not about New Japan, James. It's about heels.
About Zeus?
James, I'm gonna punch you.
Did he say
You're talking
Zeus?
about
It's bad guys.
The Stephen Amell show. Okay, I gotcha. But I feel like that's a conflict of interest.
Arrow?
Yeah, heels.
Oh.
But I feel like that's a conflict of
God damn it, James.
interest because CM Punk's on there and he's AEW.
Hold on. Hold on. Let me get this dead horse out of here. They might as well just call this WWE presents Kayfabe is dead.
Well, at least it's not about Yoshihashi. And what's your thoughts on Yoshihashi, Kaliko?
Fuck Yoshihashi, that's what it is.
There you go. But on to somebody we don't care about, to somebody we do. Vader finally inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. Kaliko, start us off because I know you've been wanting this for the past, 5 years at least?
Yeah, that dude should have been in before he died. Because I met him it's crazy. I met him right when the announcement he was he only had months to live.
Right.
And I thought that would have been it. And that was Dallas. Jesus Christ. Go figure. Comes full fucking circle. So for me, that dude, WWE didn't do him justice, but WCW did him great justice because the one thing Vader was in the South was this big, badass monster motherfucker that looked like if he hit you, you're dead. And that to me was awesome and cool. That dude, man, my dad used to love Vader. Like my dad loved Vader. Like, yeah, black dudes running around yelling, "It's Vader time!" And he should have been in while he was alive. And that's my only regret with it is that he's not in while he's alive. I'm glad that they're doing Sid Vicious. It feels like it's going to be a big guys Hall of Fame. Taker, Vader, Sid,
Well,
and
wait, did you see that Sid is being inducted?
yeah, that's the rumor. Is Sid's next?
Um, honestly, I was hearing before anything else that it was only going to be Taker.
Well,
It's confirmed, so.
to me, I always said this. I think that after SmackDown, and I'll figure this out, I'm thinking he's going to be a speech amongst himself.
Well,
And
he's dead, so.
no, I'm talking about Taker.
My points exactly.
Oh, James.
So, damn.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Fucking A. Fucking A. But, oh, God, Jesus. But that's what I would think because I don't think they're going to hold people there all night with a Hall of Fame and then expect them to be there at noon for TakeOver. So, but back to Vader, man, he was deserving years ago. And that was before the WWE. WWE didn't do him justice, but his New Japan work, his Mid South work, his WCW work definitely grants him this honor. And to be quite honest, I kind of feel like it matters, but it don't matter because he's probably in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame before he gets the WWE Hall of Fame. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. But congrats to Vader.
I saw Vader's last WWE match in it was it August of '98. August of '98, the house show in Nassau Coliseum, a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship with him, Ken Shamrock, and Mankind.
That's definitely a banger right there. What say you two about this long-awaited induction of Vader?
Like Koiko was saying, man, this guy should have got his flowers from a long time. It's just sad that he's not here to like see it
Yeah.
and enjoy it with the fans. Like Koiko hit everything on the head with his work in WCW. That's where I saw him, and that guy is one of the best big men in the history of this business. And that's sometimes that's what pisses me off with the WWE Hall of Fame. If these are guys and girls that, like, even Miss Elizabeth is not in the Hall of Fame.
No.
That's somebody that transcends eras, and they're not in the Hall of Fame. Like that's what's sad, and it takes people like not being with us anymore for us to say, well, you know what, now they deserve the flowers. But it's a happy day, but then it's like a little too late, to be honest with you.
Well, given that the other rumor is Luger.
I can see that.
going in. Um, I could see why they might not want to induct Miss Elizabeth one for the circumstances and how she died, not how she lived. So you can't compare her with China and what China did throughout, and Sunny as well. That's how they lived, not how they died. Um, but at the same time, and I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for this, aside from one memorable speech in WCW and two memorable moments in the WWE. I'm sorry, three. We'll call it three. Four significant moments throughout her entire career as a manager. Other than that, Elizabeth didn't do much.
I feel like that's so not true, and that's that's definitely another topic for another time because she was the right hand of fucking Randy Savage. I mean, you don't see Randy Savage without Miss
You
Elizabeth right there. So yeah,
mean she was
she
getting
didn't do
Randy's right
much,
hand?
but she didn't have to do anything but be beside him to be over, and that was the whole thing with Miss Elizabeth.
That's my point.
Look,
So
look, look. I'm
recognize our
saying, I'm
point.
saying the reason why I brought up Miss Elizabeth, it's talking about people that were relevant in the era. Who should have went in together? Maybe not her by herself, but when Randy and her were both alive, they should have went in together as wrestler and manager, like a team that goes in together. Yes, you're right. Miss Elizabeth really didn't do much when she was in the WWE. She had, you're right. It's three moments in especially in the WWE. She only had like three moments. The what? The wedding, beating up
It's WrestleMania 7,
Kevin,
and then removing his
SummerSlam.
and
SummerSlam.
SummerSlam. She had like a cup of coffee, but as what James is saying, I totally agree with that. That yes, you didn't see Randy without Liz. So together they should have went in. Even if you do it now and put them in together as a team, that would be great. But it's just for me, the WWE Hall of Fame is so hokey. It doesn't. It's. I don't really view it as a real Hall of Fame. I just think it's just this whole thing where they're celebrating their past at the wrong time. There's certain times you can celebrate your past when, like, yes, when if there was an era that you wanted to put in a bunch of guys, yeah, it should have been in the '80s era. It should have been Liz, Macho Man, Jake the Snake Roberts, all those guys that were uber over. That people that didn't really watch professional wrestling in the '80s knew who the hell they were. But now you're just putting in guys. It's like, oh, you know what? Let's put in Vader because he's no longer with us. Yeah, he did some great stuff while he was in WWE and WCW, and we'll put him in. And we'll put in Davey Boy Smith, and we'll put in Lex Luger. And let's give them their flowers about what they've done as a job. If you are like, if you're working at a place and over your career you are the person that has zero incidents throughout your whole career, there should be some type of plaque in your warehouse that says your name on it, that says this guy went 40 years or 20 years as a career in our business with no incidents. That's how you celebrate people, not when they're no longer with us. That's why the WWE Hall of Fame doesn't mean shit.
But something like that inherently implies that, oh, this guy didn't cause any incidents, but there are others that do, and that's something the WWE will never admit.
That's very true. I mean, I do understand what Drew is getting at because the way that they do it is very random, and that has been a problem with the Hall of Fame for many, many years.
Coco.
And God bless you.
Yeah.
Well, that's another conversation for another day.
But think about it. The last person that got in and got their flowers like right as they were living, and then just went on yonder was Warrior.
Yeah,
So you would have thought when that happened, they would have made it like their duty to ensure that people got recognized before they freaking went on to the, you know what I
Right?
mean?
They would have learned their lesson, man.
Lesson.
They would have learned their
Exactly.
lesson from that incident with Warrior. That weekend, he did everything to wrap up his career was so perfect, and then poof, he's no longer with us.
yeah,
You should have learned. You know what? Let's jump on the phone and not like call Coco Beware to be in the Hall of Fame. Why is Coco Beware in the Hall of Fame? What? No. Yeah, he had a funny gimmick. He walked around with a bird, but he wasn't impactful. But you're right. They didn't learn anything from the Warrior incident, and that's why we're now getting guys like, oh, let's put Luger in because Luger's getting he's getting very long in the tooth, and we don't know much longer he got, so let's put him in. Let's put like the only one that makes sense, and they did it right was the Undertaker. His career's over. He's retired. He's the only one that right now that makes sense. Let's give him his flowers right now. That makes sense.
right,
Everybody else, it's just this random pick of the draw. It's like they just draw names out of a hat and say, "Here, this guy's going in the Hall of Fame. This girl's going in the Hall of Fame. Let's put this faction in the Hall of Fame." Like it. That's why I just feel I don't even watch the Hall of Fame, to be honest with you. And it's just a piece of it's a shit show. They don't learn anything. And if you want it to be a legit Hall of Fame about your history, I'm not saying you have to build a damn museum in Stanford to show memorabilia and plaques and all that kind of stuff. But if it's something that you want the fans to celebrate with these guys and girls that have meant something to a lot of people in their career, then do it smartly. Not this bogus BS crap, and we just choose. I don't mean to bash on his name, but we just choose Coco Beware to be in the Hall of Fame because we need a warm body that has done something in our industry.
Well, my issue, and you're right with that. The whole point of that, the beef that I have with the Hall of Fame is that they try to make it seem like they try to put an emphasis on people that are living, and that's where it griped me because I'm like, there's so many motherfuckers that were living that you could have did this years ago,
right.
and that's my point because they're like, oh, well, we don't want that many people that are posthumous humorous in the Hall of Fame, but
Posthumous.
yet, you know what I mean. But you know what? You don't want to wait till like because you don't want it to be where it's a celebration of dead people, but yet they're putting people in after they died, and that what throws me off. Like right after they died, or some shit like that.
Right.
In truth, Vader should have gone in the year following Hansen, because Vader inducted Stan
2005.
Hansen. That was not 2005.
No, Hanson was in 2000. Actually,
Stan
no. Hanson
Stan Hansen
was
a
all
few years
later. He was later, yeah.
a few years ago when Vader was still with us,
Yeah.
and Hansen should have inducted Vader the following year.
Wasn't that 32?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
which pisses me even more off. That's what I'm saying. Like Vader was kicking at 32. I met the motherfucker, which threw me off. Like why didn't they just give it to him then?
Alright, once again, big congratulations to Vader. Obviously, rest in peace, and we'll conclude the news for now. Now, a quick word from our sponsors.
Rogue Energy, the only gaming drink company in the world with 4 unique product lines to suit your task at hand, whether it be juices, shakes, smoothies, and everything else in between. Their low calorie, no sugar energy formula is the perfect alternative to sugar filled canned energy drinks and sodas. Their extreme formula provides the most energy, focus, and sports performance possible. Their hydration line offers focus, ingredients without the added caffeine. Drink it anytime you're thirsty. And their shake formula is so delicious. Who doesn't love a cookies and cream, 0 calorie energy milkshake? First and foremost, they've designed every Rogue product line with performance and effectiveness in mind. It is critical that you look at the nutrition panels of drinks when comparing options. There are countless off brands out there that are presenting low quality, poorly dosed formulas that amount to expensive caffeine water. Every formula they produce is designed with optimal levels of high quality ingredients. Additionally, you won't find a powdered gaming drink brand that dissolves better. No need to have chalky textures in your drink. Their taste profiles are unmatched, specifically designed for gamers, athletes, students, entrepreneurs, people with hectic schedules, individuals with low energy, podcasters who can't shut up, people who are health conscious, and so much more. Great as both a pre workout and as a coffee energy drink replacement. Specifically designed every Rogue product line to be the best gaming drink on the planet. Rogue energy, more focus, more win.
Use promo code WrestlingWithe for 10% off your next purchase. And we are wrestling with AEW Revolution. It took place March 6th, 2022. It was in Orlando, Florida at the Edison Financial Arena. And yeah, we are. I guess I'll go first when it comes to this event. I mean, it wasn't a bad show. Everything was pretty much good. I just felt like there was maybe a little too much. What's the word? Uh, Gaga for the sake of Gaga. But other than that, I actually enjoyed the show. What say you, Drew?
AEW with their pay per views have been knocking it out of the park in my opinion. So I enjoyed this show very much. I think the build of every match was done perfectly well. It got you emotionally invested in the show. And yeah, to me, the show was a good show to watch and take in if you were a wrestling fan. And it brought you back to what you really enjoyed about wrestling: the feuds, the storylines, and what happens inside the squared circle.
Scooter?
It was it was a good show, uh, top to bottom. Uh, some things going a little long, but it was solid.
Kalika?
Well, compared to last year's shit, this shit blew it out the water. That's what I look at. I compare what their pay per view was for this card this year versus last year, and this year is miles better than what it was last year. So give them props.
Let's get into it. The first match on the main card, Eddie Kingston defeated Chris Jericho by submission in 13 minutes and 40 seconds. Honestly, that match did not seem like it went 13 minutes. But it was definitely a solid opener that got definitely people off their feet and wanting to see this match. So I was all for this and getting, Eddie a legitimate win against the big star. What say you, Scooter?
I mean, yeah, it was a decent opener for two guys that are up there in age.
What say you, Drew?
Yeah, it was a decent opener for guys that are in one guy's around my age and the other guy's like a little bit older than I am. But yeah, it was a decent opener. And like I said before, the build to these matches, especially this one, you got emotionally invested because of the promo work of Eddie Kingston, the promo work of Chris Jericho, and then when we got into the in-ring stuff, yeah, it didn't feel like it was 13 minutes long, but it did what it needed to do within the 13 minutes.
Yes. And Kalika?
Ditto what everyone else said. And plus, it was a good start because the crowd is going to automatically sing Jericho, therefore getting casual fans to be like, holy shit, it's a big deal because the crowd was into it. It was a good crowd beater match.
Scooter, how many stars do you rate this match?
I would give it 3.5.
Drew?
Same.
Kalika?
3.5. Yep.
I'll give it 4. Alright, we got Jurassic Express defeating Reed Dragon and the Young Bucks in a 3-way tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships in 18 minutes and 55 seconds. I thought this match went a little too long for my taste, and it felt like the champions, Jurassic Express, were just the backdrop for the bigger picture and the bigger story with Redragon and the middle-aged Bucks. But what say you, Scooter?
Middle-aged bucks, Red Dragon.
It's Redragon.
Fine. If you want to tell him that, fine. I'll arrange your funeral. This match of the night, hands down. So what if there might have been more focus on the Bucks and Red Dragon? Uh, it was still an incredible match that from an outside perspective, Jurassic Express shouldn't have won. And yet they did. And I think Jurassic Express is the I think they are the quintessential example of what AEW can be.
What say you, Drew?
I agree with what Scooter's saying 100%. This was the match of the night. Um, Everybody in the match, especially Red Dragon, Young Bucks, we know what they're gonna do, and it also put a big shine on the tag team champions because if you're a casual watcher of AEW and you saw Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy and they're your tag champions, this match helped elevate them and helped elevate that championship as well.
Kalika?
Me, I agree with everyone saying, but I think the right team won. And the reason I say that is because the Bucks have had that belt forever. So them having the belt is not really going to help. It's going to help them in their stock, but it's not really going to help the tag team division. And to me, Jurassic Express, it proved that they belonged as a tag team, right? So that was the point. It proved that they belonged as a tag team, and now they're going to have this murderer's row of teams that are either just forming or teams that are already solid. So it helps them prove their mettle. You know what I mean? And that's a good tone setter for their reign because you don't want them to get the Big E treatment. You know what I mean?
Right. Uh, how many stars would you give this match, Scooter?
Uh, I would, I would give it put 4.25.
Drew,
Yeah, about 4.25. Same.
Kaliko.
4. We're doing stars now?
I'm switching it up. I give it 3 stars. Alright,
Damn, harsh.
yeah. You guys, I felt like the reason that the spotlight wasn't on Jurassic Express was because they wasn't the biggest stars in the match, and they kind of got overshined by Redragon and the Bucks. But again, that's my opinion. Alright, uh, Best of the Revolution ladder match for a future AEW TNT Championship match. Warlow defeated Christian Cage, Keith Lee, Orange Cassidy, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Ricky Starks. Right Man won. Good solid match. Had to have Christian in there for ladder match reasons. Um, but yeah, just a solid, entertaining ladder match. And I dare anybody to find a ladder match that isn't entertaining. But what say you, Kaliko?
I say the right guy won, which was because I think the fans were waiting on Wardlow to win. Although low key they were one Keith Lee, because I mean, welcome back Keith Lee,
Of course.
welcome back Christian Cage. I mean, these people who have been there, and we are like
Even
on
Ricky
milk
Starks,
cartons.
we haven't seen him in the match for a spell as well.
And that's my point. Like that's what I hate about. Well, that's a whole nother story for another day. But the right guy won, solid match, good ladder match. Everybody got their little turns in, and the right person won.
What say you, Drew?
Yeah, I agree with Kaliko saying. Right guy won. Everybody did what they needed to do in the ladder match, and yeah, it was a fun ladder match to watch.
Scooter.
It, it, yes, the right man won. In terms of ladder matches, I wasn't blown away by it, probably because there were too many big men. Nothing against them, but ladder matches are really, they're really all about the spots with the ladders.
Right.
And while, big guys can do interesting things with the ladders while, they're not set up, everybody really expects these days more than just having the ladder knocked over and them landing on the ropes and everything and stuff like that. I think this was slightly above average in terms of ladder matches.
Alright. How many stars would you rate this match, Kaliko?
Uh, 3, a solid 3.
You
Drew.
always do it.
Yeah, 3.
Scooter.
I would give it a 3 as well.
I'll give it 3.5. Alright. We are the singles match for the AEW TBS Championship. We got Jade Cargill defeating Tay Conti in 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Um, Out of all the matches that were on this card, this was the only one not to go double digits. But I feel like that's expected. You knew Conte wasn't taking the title off of Cargill. You kind of knew that this was just kind of essentially the popcorn match to get to what we'll talk about in a moment, which was one of the main events of the show. But what say you, Scooter?
This was this was cut and paste basically. Uh, Cargill is generating uh, a lot of momentum. She is uh, increasing her worth with every match, I believe. Um, that being said, I think waiting to see who beats Jade is the payoff here, and that's always an interesting story. However, when you know the opponent is not going to be the one to do that, it takes you out of it somewhat. So props to Cargill for taking something that's mediocre on paper and making it look more than mediocre on television.
What say you, Drew?
Honestly, like you said, James, this was the popcorn match for me. This is I call these matches the roll up a spliff and do a thing situation. So that's what I did. Because I already knew Jade was gonna win. It didn't matter the time that she won it in. It's just I'm kind of getting tired of the wash, rinse, repeat with her. I need to. I know she's new to the industry. I know she's still a little bit green, but I need. I don't know if it's a character change. I don't know if it's just I need her to be in a feud where I actually believe that she could lose.
Right.
To be if you understand what I'm saying. Like the match was fine. It was just like going into it, you already knew that Ty Conti wasn't gonna beat her, and it was just it is what it is at the end of the day.
Of course, she's pretty. Her name is Jade.
Kaliko.
So she got set up. So Ty Conti got set up for the Sonata Slaughter, right?
Hey, he won as United States champion, so he didn't get started.
And that title is about as worthless as my freaking pants that I got on. Anywho, I, I get they're highlighting her strengths, and I get what Drew is saying, but the issue is that who on that roster has the body physique of Jade that could give Jade a run for her money?
Mercedes Martinez.
Because that's what they're selling. Like,
yeah,
they're selling the fact that she's cut. And unless it's Mercedes or Nyla, which, I mean, it's a man. But that's a whole nother, you know what I mean? So, they're trying to sell the...
My answer to that is Paige Van Sant.
Is Paige in there for a cup of coffee, Joe?
She just signed her contract, so.
But the problem...
What I'm asking is it an actual I'm going to be on TV every week contract, or is it the Brock Lesnar schedule contract?
She's
It would have to be on TV because she's not with UFC.
She was with Bare Knuckle FC, and she's been on TV.
That's true.
She's been on AEW over the past with Lambert and and ATT.
True.
Um,
But that's a heel girl getting the title from a heel. So that really doesn't work. I feel it needs to be an underdog. You know, the Daniel Bryan esque the world is against me, so I have to fight it type scenario.
But
so
what woman on the roster is like that?
Peter Avalon.
Ruby Soho.
But yes, but Jade has already beaten her.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. She needs some type of feud that that we can believe that the person she's in a feud with could beat her. Or you
Aging
do
Ruby Soho.
it's just
Um,
like I have nothing against Jade. I think she's probably one of the stars that they have built that nobody knew. Like coming out of AEW, her, Britt Baker, all those like Darby Allin, etc., etc. But I just think, what is the next gear? Like it's like she's getting that Goldberg treatment where, yeah, she's smashing through everybody, but what's the next gear? Is she gonna feud with Britt Baker for her title and beat her? You know what I mean? Like where as James is saying, that's a heel taking a title from a heel. It doesn't really work. So I don't know what you do with her going forward. You just keep feeding her Ty Conti and Anna Kay and Layla Hirsch. Maybe Chris Statlander is the one that takes the belt from her. I don't know.
Could
It's
be
just
Chris.
for
it,
now, how many stars do you rate this match, Drew?
two stars.
Scooter.
1.5.
Kaliko.
2, but because Jade's in her own planet right now. So
I rated. I did not watch. um, CM Punk defeated MJF in a dog collar match, 26 minutes and 45 seconds. Obviously, a much anticipated blow up to a rivalry people really enjoyed. I certainly enjoyed it. The match was solid. Maybe went 5 minutes longer than I would have liked, but other than that, everything made sense. It told the story properly, and of course, CM Punk looked like $1 million. MJF looked like a chump, and we're all moving on now. But what say you, Drew?
I enjoyed everything about this feud going into this pay per view. Even the entrance that we had from CM Punk coming out to his old Ring of Honor theme. And to be honest with you, I don't think this feud is over because we're 1-1. And I think we need the blow off to the blow off match. If this is the end of the feud, well, great, but I think people would want to see more. I think this elevated MJF even more because that's one of those guys that this guy is so young, but it's like he knows who the hell he is, and like him or not, he is arguably the best heel in professional wrestling. Like, people want to say, oh, it's Roman right now, but I think MJF has hit a total other gear with this feud with CM Punk. This elevated MJF to that superstar stratosphere. It keeps Punk where Punk has always been as one of the top guys in professional wrestling. So I'm amazed, but I still want to see more. Just the selfish wrestling fan that I am. I want to see more of this feud.
Alright, what say you, Kaliko?
I guess I'm the opposite. And here's why. And it's everything that I told you about MJF. He's good on the mic, and then the bell rings. I would believe him more as a heel if he actually won a feud. The last feud he won was Darby Allin. Other than that, he's been snatching L's like a leprechaun. So until he does something, I can't take him seriously.
And what say you, Scooter?
It was bloody. It was violent. I loved it. I loved Punk coming out to AFI, evoking that whole Ring of Honor. My gripe about this match, aside from it running a little too long, is the fact that they're making that dynamite diamond ring like it's a pair of brass knucks, and it shouldn't be. One punch with that should not take someone out. You know, it's
2 punches?
if they wanted it, they should have made it. You know, it should have been a diamond glove. You know, it's more more believable than that. I mean, and since MJF's won it 3 times, shouldn't he have 3 of them?
Have a dynamite diamond knuckle duster?
Exactly.
Hmm.
Um, it also makes it made Punk look like he couldn't beat MJF on his own.
Hmm.
And it was only because of Wardlow that Punk won. I don't think we're going to see this again. I don't know what else you could do above a dog collar match, and don't say a lights out match, because a dog collar match is above a lights out match. Uh, unless they plan on pulling out that barbed wire exploding death match again,
Yay!
then I don't think we're never going to see it. I also don't know how MJF could top that, oh, I'm an asshole because of anti-Semitism and bullying promo. What else can he say that would make CM Punk want to fight him again? And maybe there's an interesting story there on MJF trying to do everything he can to get Punk to fight him again. And maybe off the top of my head, Punk says MJF has to beat Wardlow
Hmm.
to get a match with him. Uh, but unless they are that smart, and again, if they stop hiring talent left and right, then this is the end of the feud for both.
I agree with you. I feel like it, MJF has to go onto his Warlow rivalry. That should be anticipated as well. I'm not sure what Punk is doing right now, but I'm sure it's going to be must see, so we will see. Until then, Drew, how many stars would you rate this match?
This gets 4.5 from me.
Kaliko,
Storytelling great, 4.75. But my question is, where does MJF go from here, other than Wardlow? And if he does get over Wardlow, where does he go?
Scooter.
So, well, he's not going to get off. He's not going to get off over Wardlow. That's clear.
And that's my point. He's got to have a streak at some point, right?
Yeah, it's just going to be a brown streak leading out of his pants. The match, yeah, 4.5.
And good storytelling, maybe just a little too long. 4.5. Um, AEW Women's World Championship match. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, defeated Thunder Rosa in 17 minutes and 25 seconds. Honestly, I feel like AEW did these goals a little dirty, putting them right after such an anticipated match. Kind of making it less important than the match that it followed because, obviously everybody was spent cheering on that match. Making it a little bit less, but, and then there's the fact that Britt Baker won, which, should have been Thunder Rosa, but, that's my opinion. What say you, Scooter?
It absolutely should have been Thunder Rosa winning. There was no reason that there was no reason that it shouldn't have been Thunder Rosa's night. I mean,
Texas?
yes. Plus, again, we have the same problem with Jade Cargill, who can now step up to Britt Baker.
Thunder Rosa in the cage next week.
and 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 based on everything that's happening, Baker wins that too. It seems like they're trying to cement Britt Baker as the greatest female star of AEW, and they're gonna feed her opponent after opponent.
What say you, Kalika? Oh, did we lose Kalika?
Nah, my hands were bloody wet. Anyways, I think Britt Baker is where MJF should be.
So MJF should be women's champion.
No, in a sense where eventually the heel gets the streak and gets their due, and that's where Britt has that edge, right? And let's face it, the division when it was first incarnated was built to be around Britt Baker. It took longer than it expected to get there, but now we're here. And she's going to be the face of that division until they find someone who can beat her. But the problem is she done already ran up and down that roster. So who the fuck will beat her?
What say you, Drew?
I agree with what everybody is saying, but to be honest with you, Thunder Rosa should have won the belt. And right now, I feel like Britt Baker doesn't even need the title. She's so over when it comes to being one of the top stars in AEW, male or female. If she drops the title, it's not going to hurt her. And I think if they're going to the cage, I think maybe this is a time where her little faction starts to turn on her. Maybe it's time for Rebel, don't call me Reba, to turn on her. screw her out of the title, something, because we're seeing that with MJF now. He's feuding with the guy that he brought into the promotion. So maybe that's a way we can get the belt off of her, throw it on Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa can have some great matches with other people on the card, and then Britt Baker can have her little storyline over with people in her faction. That's what I see.
You make a great point there, actually. Um, and you're absolutely right. Britt Baker is so over a loss. Losing the title or a loss at this point doesn't really hurt her. That being said, Scooter, how many stars?
3.5, and I think that's being generous.
Kaliko. Oh, did Kaliko, did we lose Kaliko?
There we go. Jesus. 2.
And Drew.
2.5.
I'll give it 3 because I like both roles.
But to me, it didn't match up to what they did in like the hardcore match.
Right.
That was their bar, and they didn't get a chance to shine.
John Moxley defeated Bryan Danielson in 21 minutes and 5 seconds. I really enjoyed this match until it became just a bloodbath for. I mean, there was a reason for it, but when you just had a bloodbath 2 matches prior, it kind of takes away from this one, which the blood was a part of the story, but they could have gone with maybe just a little bit less blood, would have made it a little bit more better for my taste. But that being said, solid, great match by 2 great guys. What say you, Drew?
Um, yeah, it was a decent match, and I think it's to put the blood was to put over the fact that when Brian said that, or when Moxley said to Brian that for us to team together, we gotta bleed together,
Right.
and then Brian said, "Well, just to let you know, you might be the only one that bleeds." That's what they were playing into, which is great storytelling. Um, I to be honest with you, I didn't even see the purpose of this match. To be honest with you, I just thought they just threw these two guys together and they said, "Hey, go do a match." But who came after the match kind of helped us understand why they are becoming a team down the road.
Right. And Kaliko.
Yeah, the match in itself, people thought it was a dream match. This match was a lot more physical than because it started as a match and it ended as like them just wanting to beat the shit out of each other, right?
Right.
So that I think that was the thing. It was kind of like if we can beat each other up like this, think of what we could do to everybody else type of feel.
Yeah.
It
Too
kind
much
of like
like that.
Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch, right? They were
Mm.
beating each other up forever, and it was like, well, shit, if we could whoop each other like this, think what we could do to everybody else. So that's the vibe I got from it.
What say you, Scooter?
Yeah, I'm with Drew on this. I honestly didn't see, you know, necessarily the reason really for this match. Yes, Moxley won't team with somebody until they bled with him, but given that he teamed with Punk 3 some odd weeks ago, that makes him a hypocrite, basically. Um, but the fact that William Regal,
Yep.
somebody we've said could be of great benefit to AEW, especially now that they own Ring of Honor.
Just last week.
Um, does Regal have it in him to be a manager? I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. Um, as for Danielson and Mox coming together as a team, does AEW really need another team? Quite honestly, this almost feels like, yeah, you guys are main event, but we don't have anything for you to do, so we're gonna put you in a team. And any team they go up against now automatically is the odds-on loser.
With maybe the exception of Sting and Darby Allin.
Maybe the exception of Sting and Darby Allin, and that's probably something they're saving for next year's Revolution.
Hopefully, Regal enhance the tag team, being the manager for them.
Honestly, I don't think so. Because of who Mox and Danielson were before AEW. They didn't need anybody to unify them. They really didn't. The fact that, and they're pushing this on the fact that, oh, we all knew each other, well, in the WWE. That's what this is based on. It's not based upon anything that's happening or happened in AEW. And I think that's what bugs me the most.
And William Regal thing, I thought it was cool, and I think that it's great that they're using him in a storyline right now. But there has been some issues on Dynamite. Well, at least in William Regal's mind, there was some timing issues on his promo and whatnot, whether or not you felt that that should be an issue on or
I
not.
mean, he did go a little long. Um, I don't necessarily know if I can fault him for that. The man was tearing up. The man was tearing up at friggin' Tony Schiavone.
Yeah.
So also I don't think Regal is one of the guys that really needs to get on a mic and explain himself.
Oh, absolutely not. But what do you have to say about that, Kaliko? Drew? Anything you want to add to that?
I think there was some news that he's like dealing with health issues right now. So
He put those rumors to bed.
He said
thank
he was
God,
healthy.
because okay, I was
But
about to
then he,
say, man,
but that
because
he did say on in the Dynamite promo that he doesn't have too much time left in his life. So
He was speaking in general. He wasn't being literal.
probably thinking like he got uh, more days behind him in wrestling than he does ahead, which I get it.
Drew, you have anything to add?
Quickly, cool to see William Regal, but I think it's a poor usage of William Regal. I don't think he needs to be a manager. I think he needs to be part of the booking or a commentator for whatever they're trying to do with Ring of Honor going forward.
Personally, I think he's better as a general manager because fuck, he'll put some order in that shit. It feels helter skelter sometimes.
Oh, for sure. Alright, Moxley, Danielson, how many stars, Drew?
Solid 3.5.
Kaliko,
Ditto, 3.5, just because of the physicality.
Scudo,
I'm gonna say, you know what? I'll be generous and I'll give it 4.
I'll give it 4 as well. Alright, we got Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, and Sting defeating Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy, with Jose, the assistant, in 13 minutes and 20 seconds. My question is, why the fuck wasn't this just Scorpio Sky and Sammy Guevara? I mean, honestly, no offense to Sammy Guevara, but Scorpio Sky should have had that title a year ago when he won the ladder match and was the face of the Revolution back then. And this was basically just to get Darby and Andrade on the show, essentially. No, yes, Kaliko.
It seems that way, but I mean, Sting took a dive onto the table, man. He a little too old to be doing that shit, boy. You better calm the fuck down, cause gravity will pull his ass faster than he was at 53 than he was at 23. But but I guess it was just for that to get those cool moments like that. I really don't see the story implication of it, but you know, just a filler.
Drew.
Cool to see Sting dive in at 62 years old off of a scaffold through a table, but it was a filler match. Like, it was just time filler, time for you to go to the washroom, get yourself your snack because the main event was coming up. So, I storyline wise couldn't care less about the Hardy family office. I think that whole faction is a bunch of crap. I think they were just throwing people together just to make a faction and then adding Andrade. And I really, to be honest with you, to me personally, Andrade has been one of the worst signings for AEW, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he's only there for if the person that he's engaged to becomes available in the future, possibly if that ever happens. And if that ever not happens, then he's cut.
They're no longer engaged,
But that's
so
No, they're
that
back
part
engaged. They're back on
We're still
engaged.
together.
Yeah, they're still
really.
together.
I was
Yeah.
about to say because
They
I
should
mean,
they should rename him Andrade Del Rio.
maybe no, don't do that because Paige will fight her for him.
Ooh. Yeah. And then, obviously we got Jeff Hardy coming on the next the Wednesday following this. Another WWE guy that maybe the AEW should have hired. But your thoughts, Scooter?
Hey, at least they didn't have to pay for his music.
Oh, they did?
Nope. Jeff Hardy's the Hardy Boys theme was one theme that was never WWE produced, based on the fact that I have heard it in several porno films. Um, it
Well, we
was
know what you're
even
doing with
used
your spare time.
in several porn films years and years ago, I should say. Uh, Plus, it was used on the season premiere of The Masked Singer this past Wednesday.
Alright. That being said, rate the match.
Uh, 2 stars. I mean, we all remember what happened last time Sting was in the ring with the Hardy brother. And I'm not sure which was better.
Drew.
Did not watch.
Okay, and Kaliko.
Wish I didn't watch.
And I'll give it 2 stars. Simply for the respect of Sting doing a bump he didn't necessarily have to do.
Alright, he keep on. He gonna be fucking around talking with Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, he's gonna be stung.
And the main event, the last match, Adam Page defeated Adam Cole for the AEW World Championship match in 25 minutes and 45 seconds. This was a match Adam Page had to have. It was a match he needed to have. First really significant win of his title reign. Just a solid match that shows that he's the champion. There were some odds against him, but he overcame, and he was the babyface champion that people knew he could be, which I don't think we really saw until this match came on. What say you, Scooter?
Well, my prediction was right. Adam won.
Yes?
Uh, and like I said before, if you're actually expecting Adam Cole to get a ring at the AEW World Championship, I would like to know what you're smoking and give me some of that, please. Um, Nevertheless, Adam Cole is a great opponent uh, for Adam Page. This was a solid match from top to bottom. However, at no point did I believe Adam Page was in danger of losing his title.
What say you, Drew?
I agree 100% with what my boy Scooter just said. Um, I just think the feud is gonna continue, and I think going down the road, it's all of this is setting up for the Elite and Adam Cole's people going up against each other when Kenny Omega comes back. I think throwing Adam Cole in the title picture was something to get to elevate Hangman Page, and it did its job. The match was solid, and yeah.
Alright, and Kaliko?
My question, I always think where does my question always be like after the bell then what? Because we know where Adam Cole's going, but Adam Page, they're gonna have to start lining up some people who we really think could question his reign, because Adam Cole we knew he wasn't gonna win because he just got there. That would have been a shock. It it shocked me. It shocked but not shocked me that Page won. Right.
Right. Alright,
So that's why I think they need to bring up some more challengers for him.
alright. And how many stars do you give this?
3.5. Good match, but I knew what was going to happen.
Good.
4 stars.
Scooter.
I will give it 4 as well. It was a solid match.
And I'll give it 4.5. Alright. All that being said, the pay preview as a whole. Scooter, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle.
I think we could give it a thumbs up.
Drew.
Thumbs up.
Kaliko.
Thumbs up on a Tuesday.
4 thumbs up here. That'll conclude our coverage of AEW Revolution. If you like football, and that'll conclude the show as a whole as well. Thank you so much for coming back on and talking wrestling with us, Drew.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Hopefully spring has sprung here in Canada and we can get rid of this damn snow. Tired of seeing white stuff on my car in the morning time. But it's always fun to talk professional wrestling with some guys from the great southern region of the world.
Sorry I left that blow on your car.
That's why the cops are trying to pull me over.
And
I mean,
you
I don't know
know,
how South New York is considered to Canada. I mean, yeah, it's South, but whatever.
and you don't have you can't just not listen to Drew on Wrestling with Entertainment. Where can we also listen to Drew and the Gr8ful Yardy podcast?
Gr8ful Yardy podcast is available wherever you get your favorite podcast. So if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, and many other places. So just type in the Gr8ful Yardy podcast. Take a listen. I'm not there all the time because I do have a full-time job. So when I do post some stuff, it's usually when things are really on my mind and I really want to get some things off my chest, like my last episode talking about the strike that ended with the baseball. Yeah, the baseball strike that now has finally ended. I talked about how I hated the fact that baseball was on strike. And then I gave my little thoughts about professional wrestling as usual. But Gr8ful Yardy podcast is available wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Alright, and if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. Of course, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Pale One Coffee. Join us this Wednesday as we interview Big Juicy. And you can follow the show at Wrestling with Eve on Twitter and Instagram for all your Wrestling with needs. You can follow me, of course, at JamesJ993. Drew, where can we find you on social media?
DWrestling99 on Twitter and Drew_Wrestling99 on Instagram.
Kaliko.
I am Kaliko as Kaliko does Dallas.
And Scooter.
Find me on Twitter at Scooter Dust. Find me on the remix along with James, now coming to YouTube with WrestleMania. And of course, find me and all my Twitch exploits as part of the Smoking Dragons channel along with Rico Constantino Jr. at twitch.tv/Smoking Dragons.
For our very special guest, Drew, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey guys, this is Brutal Bob Evans from Hangs with Bob Seminars and TheWrestleLife.com, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.